Hello everyone. Um, in this video, today I'm going to show you how to do a SQL multi-script deployment using PowerShell. My name is Israel Michael. I am a senior SQL Server database administrator and a trainer by profession. So I have my email down here from Athena SQL Lab. Um, so why do we need to have a SQL, a multi-script deployment? The reason is, as a DBA, you have SQL Server instance that you are administering, hosting a number of databases and instances, and you are required to deploy these scripts to a database or a set of databases that reside in one or more SQL instance in your production environment. In addition, by having a multi-script deployment process, you help yourself to reduce the mistakes that can be made by doing a manual deployment process. Um, so today I'm going to show you in this video how to do using a PowerShell script, but there are also third-party tools such as the Redgate SQL multi-script, which I frequently use in my company. And in the next video, I will also show you how to use this Redgate tool. And there is also another one that I know of from Quest. It's called Apex SQL. This list is by no means all that we have out there regarding third-party tools for multi-script deployment to database. But these are the some of the softwares that I know, the tools. So how to use my PowerShell script? There are a number of steps that we need to explain. The first thing being you need to create a database. We can call it admin DB or whatever name that suits you, and you create a table that will store the distribution list of the database and the associated instance names where you'll be deploying the scripts. I'm talking about production SQL Server instances and their database. You can also add additional load environment, especially, for example, staging or UAT environment instances and databases. Then you can have a column that specifies whether they're prod or dev or stage. Next one is, so always before the releasing the the SQL scripts to production environment, it's a good practice to do testing on a copy of a production database so that everything is fine and there are no errors. And if there are errors, then that needs to be fixed before running on all the production databases. The third one, as I said, so if errors show up and if these errors are minor errors that you can fix, then you can fix them. It fixes them. If the errors needs to be corrected and checked into source control, then you need to follow your company's policy regarding releases and change control. Don't just change it by yourself and release it to production. That would cause um, you know in discrepancies between what's in the source code and then what's in production. Um, the other one is, once the script passes the initial testing on the copy of the production database, then it should be ready for a release during the release window. The last thing that you need to note is that sometimes, even if you know you took a backup of a production database and then ran the script and fix it or corrected some of the errors and everything looks fine, when you run it to production environment to multiple databases, then there sometimes you may see additional errors, and that can be caused by what we call a schema drift, where some database may have a schema that's not really consistent with the source control, or same as with other databases. For testing, you use just one or two databases, but you may be deploying to 20, 50, 30 databases or more. So one or two databases are not representative of the total number of databases that you have in your environment. So that you need to be aware of this kind of circumstances. So how I wrote the PowerShell script, it's a very simple PowerShell script. I'll show you in a demo. This is just the flow chart. So I have a distribution list of SQL servers, and I have a table containing a distribution list of SQL instances and their database names in a database. So for each database and SQL instance in the list, then it does a for loop. And then for each file in a file directory, which is a SQL file, then there is a for each loop. So for each file, the PowerShell deploys the scripts into a database and then goes to the next for loop to bring the next database name and an instance. So once this for loop and for each loop um, you know evaluates to false, then the deployment is completed, which is it's very simple process. So what are some of the possible errors that you may encounter, for example, during testing or while you're doing it, verifying the codes? Um, so one of the errors that I usually encounter is says there is already an object named, right? So sometimes developers or whoever wrote that script, if they are using a create statement for an existing object, then this kind of error may show up. So they should use alter. Now SQL 2016 SCP1 and above, there is a new SQL statement that starts this create or alter. So if you have this statement saying create or alter, then which means that if it doesn't exist, it will create it. If it exists, then it will alter it. So that's really a good addition by Microsoft after 2016 SCP1. The other one is database name does not exist. This comes when sometimes they do direct scripting from a database, and the database context is where that script came from, the source database name from that script. So you just open in any case, you need to open the file and see and correct them as they happen. Third one is incorrect syntax. Sometimes you may get incorrect syntaxes, and depending on the the exceptions and the errors, so you can go into the file and correct with that incorrect syntax is. Another one, property cannot be added. This is usually for extended property and generally related to a script that's scripted out of a database. It can be a view or a table or something. So you need to, if it exists, then you don't have to try to recreate it again. So just comment it out. So having said this one, and I'm gonna just go ahead and show you the demo. So I have, this is my PowerShell script that I have. Now, so I have a directory in my C drive, and I have a folder called MultiScript release scripts. And then if I run this one, I get the list of .SQL files. So in the shell, you see the list of SQL files. I have this connection string that will just directly go to my SQL instance, ProSQL one. So this is my lab, actually, just for testing purpose, I'm using as a prod, but this is my own lab environment. So I'm gonna go back and show you. So I have here ProSQL one. All of them are AdventureWorks database or Northwind. Here you see, and then some are like report server. So this AW, and then you have the ID. Every AW is an AdventureWorks database that I have here. And then I have an admin DB database that hosts the distribution list of the instances and the databases. I have the database server. So this table, and when I run this table, Then I have the instance name, the database name, if the environment is prod or not, if it is active or not, and then the TCP port. I specifically deliberately specify the TCP port because I have here custom TCP port, and I have also listeners here. So I have a variety of uh, ways to connect to an instance using the standalone default server name or a listener name, DNS, or a cluster name, and then I have a port. So for port SQL 1, I have this list of databases. As you can see, I'm going to deploy to these databases, and then from including 8. So I have listener here. If you so I have a listener here. I believe it's here. Yeah, listener agents. So the reason why we are using listeners in an availability group is we are deploying to a read-write copy of the database. So you better have the listener name, not the primary um, um, server name, which may change as a failover occurs. And then I have a cluster instance name. So if you have a cluster instance, so the way I connect is a cluster instance, and then comma the port name. I have here how many 3 databases in this. So going back to my PowerShell script, this is an ISE environment. So I'm using the connection string I'm using is an integrated security that uses my login credential, and you have to make sure that you have your login credential is able to log into all SQL Server instance. And if that's not the case, then you need to use a SQL account that's able to log into all the SQL Server instances that you will be deploying the script. Looking at the query script, so I have this is the most important thing is just prod, and then is active is equals to 1. Now the reason why I'm commenting this one is first we will test the script in one of a copy of the database from AW 1001, and we just rename it test, and then we run it this one, and then once it passes the test, then we run it on each SQL instance and all the database in the list. All right, so as I said, most importantly here, then I have a for loop here that will grab the instance name and the database name, the port, and that will give me the fully qualified name of the instance. And then I have a for each loop for each file in the directory, and I'm invoking a SQL CMD. And then here also I'm using integrated security. If you want, you can use a username and a password. Here you can use a username and a password to log in, but make sure that you have the necessary permissions to deploy the scripts into those databases. Now, as I said, going back to AW test 1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, and I have already made a script. So we'll take a backup of the database at 1001. So I'm just taking backup to a network location. So I'm going to production 1, ProSQL 1. So I'm running here and go. This database is pretty big compared to other AdventureWorks databases. Um, Maybe due to have added a number of tables and containing a large number of records into it. So once the backup is completed, then we will restore it. Usually, as I said, this is my lab, but usually you should be restoring your backup into a lower environment. Don't take a backup from a prod and restore it to another production database to do a restore and then testing. Just do it in a lower environment. Usually a staging environment or a testing environment. That's where it's you will be less likely to make mistakes. So let's go to connect to PowerSQL 2. I'm using a SQL CMD, and then I will just run it. So this is restoring. And then just, you see that AW1001 test is the copy of AW1001. It's a fresh database copy of the production database. If you can, then you can use, at least 2 or 3, depending on, just pick randomly 2 or 3 databases and try to test if the scripts pass the mistake, the testing. So one more thing, these scripts that I am using currently, or I'm going to show you, have some, errors in them. So for us to see, and we'll just go ahead and correct them one by one. So I'm going to run it. I'm going to run this one. Just go ahead and run. And now you can see that, so there's an error saying database AW, 1100 doesn't exist. So I need to go and open the file. I will go to the C drive. I have release script, MultiScript here, and I'm going to open everything. Okay, just all of them with Notepad++. And what it's saying here is, it's telling me the file is that's a function get account in date. So when I go to get account in date, this one, so you see it says AW. So this is directly scripted out from another database. So what I'm going to do is just comment out this one. I'll just comment out and save it. Once I save it, I'll come back here and then run it again. Now you see another one. So it just deploys 3 scripts, and then it says incorrect syntax near, and then that's line 20. Where is the script is function get contact information. So line 20, get contact information. This is get contact information, and line 20 is here. Okay, so there's a star here. Yep. So I'm gonna remove this one and then save it. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and run it again. Now make sure that, say, usually when you have stored procedures and views and functions, you can just run them as many times as you need. But if it is a table, then you have to make sure that you're just running it one time, because once you create a table, you don't drop it. So you can add an additional snippet that'll show you how to do that for a table usually, and you don't want to do also for an index. Just create and drop many times. So it says there is already an object named USP get manage employee v2. So now if you go to manage employee v2, whereas this is manage, so it says create now, which means the object already exists. And as I said, since I have a SQL 2019, then I can say create or alter. Okay, and then I can save it. This is a very nice snippet. I mean, new SQL statement. And then I'll just run it again. Okay, there's also another one that says there is already an object name, individual customer. I think this is a view, where is v individual customer. Now, okay, so the same thing, create or alter. Okay, and I save it and go back and run it again. All right, so property cannot be added, and this is for the same thing, the individual customer. So that's how they said this one, the extended property. So we're gonna just comment out and save it, and then run again. Okay, so voila. Now you can see that this the script has passed all the testing on this database. Now we will just comment out this one, and then now we can just push it to the production databases. So I'm going to go ahead and run it, and we'll see if everything is going right. So just connecting to every instance and every database and deploying the script. So as you can see, it's just connecting to every instance in the list, and then the deployment has completed, and then we have deploy how many scripts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 scripts, and to how many instances and databases? To I think 5 instances, about 26 to 25 databases. So we did to 25 databases and it completed. So this is 10, 25, 52. And then we started at so 10, 29, so 26. So almost 20, 25 seconds. So in 25 seconds or in somewhere around, right? So then we were able to complete the deployment. So it's a very simple script to use. And I have this script for you on GitHub. So this is my GitHub repository, and I have the script here. So few steps, and then I have the create script, how to create a database, and then the PowerShell script. So you can just customize it for yourself. So that's what I have now for now. So in the next video, I will be able to show you how you can use the Redgate MultiScript tool, which is a really nice tool and handy tool to do multi-script deployment. If the company affords, it's not an expensive tool, honestly. So the next video will be that one. And if you really like this video, just click like, subscribe, and I will be coming with many more videos in the coming days. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.